So, which side are you on? Should there be any sides in the first place? Screw that side. They don't know what they're talking about. You're an idiot for believing that garbage. Wait, what do I believe? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the third video of your required reading playlist, and today we're discussing critical thinking. All right, so the basic definition for critical thinking is defined as the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. All right, so you guys ready for the long version? Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflecting, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. That is from the Foundation on Critical Thinking. Yes, there's a foundation for critical thinking. It's a think tank that provides tips and advice on how to critical think or think critically. And I've included a link to that article and, of course, the Foundation for Critical Thinking down below in the video notes. So make sure when this is done, you check that out because you never want to take anything we say as facts unless you check it out for yourself. So that's a very long definition with a lot of big words in it. There are two words that I want to focus on today that I think are very important to breaking down what critical thinking is, how to do it correctly, and how to make sure that you are approaching this process the right way. Two terms that we're going to talk about are subjective versus objective. Any subjective thought or idea is going to be based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. That means that your opinion or your theory is of a person coming from a subject or a personal point of view. So anything defined as objective is not influenced by personal opinion or feelings. And that's when we are considering and representing facts. So that means that we are taking the viewpoint of things, of objects. There's no emotion involved. It's not changing because of how you feel. It just is what it is. That's the objective way to look at things. When we go back to the big long definition, right? When it's time to analyze, when it's time to synthesize, when it's time to evaluate information that you believe, you need to do it in a manner that is objective versus subjective. A lot of news and media companies provide opinions that or positions that represent their subjective beliefs. You want to look for resources and articles and videos and teachers that are providing facts, facts that are provable, facts that you're able to look up, you're able to research, you're able to find more peer-reviewed articles that will help solidify and shore up the stance that you're taking. So, objective versus subjective. Always objective, not subjective. Now, here's the challenge. The human brain makes about 35,000 conscious decisions a day. That means throughout the day, you've got 35,000 opportunities to say yes or no, to be right or wrong. Now, when it comes to making decisions, a lot of the decisions that we make are very easy decisions to make. Like, do I want ketchup on my fries? Or do I want chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream? That decision is very trivial, and whatever I decide is going to affect me and my situation for a very short time and not going to have any really long lasting effects based off of what I decide. So, above those trivial decisions, we've got another layer of decisions that are our personal choices that we make that will have long lasting effects in our life. As we move throughout our lives and our experiences, we will decide to date this person or move to this place or take on this job or leave this job. So, if you're not thinking critically, if you're not really analyzing your choices, if you're not really taking stock of what each decision will mean for you and your life down the road, that's not critical thinking. That means you're just haphazardly bouncing from event to event, situation to situation, and letting whatever comes your way come your way. And that can be dangerous. And it can be dangerous in the sense that you're going to look back at your life and your choices and wonder why you didn't make better ones and why you didn't choose better options. So make sure when it comes to your personal decisions, you're thinking as critically as possible. Now, of course, the ones that we want to talk about when it comes to the area of social responsibility here on this channel is critically thinking in all of these issues and the categories that we're focusing on, right? So when you're making a choice for yourself, whether it's long term or short term, most of the time, the only person that you're affecting is yourself and maybe a few close relatives or friends. When it comes to these issues or these categories that we're talking about, when we make decisions without analyzing all the facts and thinking objectively and trying to push away from opinions and subjective thoughts, then we run the risk of doing damage to others and the environment that we engage with. So, when it comes to climate change, you really got to make sure that what you believe about climate change is accurate and correct. Because if not, you could be complicit in causing more damage and being guilty of not doing any good. We're all responsible for the planet. We'll get into that in another theme. But if you don't have a clear understanding of the facts as they pertain to climate change from an objective position, then you're making it harder for a lot of other people that are trying to fix that problem. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit about how to understand if what we believe in is accurate, true, and what we want to be believing in. So let's take a topic. We're going to formulate a question around a topic, and let's just keep going with climate change. Do I believe that climate change is real? My answer is yes, I do believe that climate change is real. So now it's time to challenge that position. I'm not challenging the question. The question is, do I believe climate change is real? I answer that question for myself. Yes, I believe climate change is real. Now, Ray, why do you believe climate change is real? Now we gather the information. So now I'm going to bring in articles or facts or experiences or inferences and examples that I've seen or heard of or believe in that have led me to this position that I'm taking on climate change that yes, I believe it's real. So when I analyze that information, I need to look at that information and see if it is coming from an objective or a subjective source, or if the source that I'm using is being objective or subjective. Most of the things that are backing up climate change are coming from objective, scientific, provable, factual resources. It's easy to gather a lot of information that supports my idea or belief that climate change is real. Another thing we want to uncover if we're looking at our resources and our information is, are there any assumptions that I'm believing in? The assumptions that I'm accepting are the dangerous parts of my theory, right? So if I believe, yes, climate change is real, but it's because of an assumption, because of me saying, oh, it got warmer this winter, so climate change must be real. No, I've got to dig deeper than that. I've got to get past that assumption and see if I can find proof that supports that assumption. When I do, if I do, then great. I've proven my assumption correct. But if I leave an assumption unproven or unresearched, or you're not digging into why you believe what you believe, then you're just blindly assuming, and you know what assumptions do. Most mistakes can be traced back to some sort of assumption. So never assume or accept an assumption as a reason as to why you believe something is accurate or exists or does not. So when you're asking questions like, is climate change real? It's important to understand how our loved ones would be affected if we're wrong. And then, if the more we care about our community, how is our community affected if we're wrong? How are the people that we are invested in? How are the people that we take stock in? How are they going to be affected if I'm wrong about these issues? And if I claim to be a caring person, if I claim to be a contributing part of my community, how can I sit back and be openly, blatantly wrong about a lot of these topics that have the potential to hurt others? And we're not just talking about climate change. So when you start to dive into these issues a little bit deeper and you start to uncover what you believe, you're going to run up against something called cognitive dissonance. Okay? And let's define it. Cognitive dissonance is defined as the discomfort experienced when you are holding two or more conflicting ideas or cognition. So basically what's happening is your comfort zone self, right? Your self that exists within your comfort zone, that idea that lives there, it doesn't want to be challenged. It doesn't want to be moved. It likes the status quo. It likes how it feels there. There's no reason to change it. So it's going to fight back, so to speak, in a few different ways. The first thing that you can try to do when you experience cognitive dissonance is modify the idea, modify the challenge. So you've got your regular idea here, your status quo here, and then your new idea that you have uncovered, your new truth that you're kind of exploring. As it comes in, you're going to start to modify that truth so it doesn't cause so much friction with your old truth. That's a modification. Okay. The next thing you're going to do to that same cognition, that same new idea, is trivialize it. So instead of giving it the credit or the validation that it deserves and respecting it as the real thing, you are going to try and knock it down or play it down or make it seem not as worthy of an idea to put it underneath your status quo, your comfort zone. Another thing you can do is try to dilute or add ideas. So that's when people just start what ifing the crap out of everything. Well, what if this? And you think climate change is that, but what if this? And yeah, this life matter, but that life does too. That's dilution. Okay, that's adding more ideas to make another idea less than. Do the exploration journey to make sure that you're picking the right side. You're picking the right response. So the last way we deal with ideas that cause discomfort is denial. So we have our idea, it's a new one, we don't like it so much, it doesn't jive with what we believe, it doesn't jive with what our family believes. So you know what? That idea just doesn't exist. That's denial. And it just sounds wrong, right? If once you have an idea, once you have a thought cross your mind, it's important to explore that thought to make sure that you're giving it the opportunity to be the correct thought, or you're canceling out any thoughts that you shouldn't be having or any beliefs that you shouldn't be having. So, one of the first ways that we can apply critical thinking to social responsibility is democracy and voting. We all know we don't vote enough. I don't vote enough. You don't vote enough. And it's something that we can all step our game up on. We need to be putting the right people into positions to make decisions to support and protect their communities. So, when it comes to getting to the ballot and making choices on your elected officials and your candidates, make sure you're thinking critically from a place of self awareness and understanding your issues all the way through so that you can choose to put people in power that will represent what you believe. The next thing we should worry about when it comes to critical thinking and social responsibility is how we spend our money. Like we said earlier in the explanation video, corporations are one of the systems that we want to focus on to try and keep in check from messing up the world, right? So, how we spend our money, who we spend our money with, who we give our money to, understanding what they plan on doing with that money is very important. It's hard, it's something that we can work towards, but it starts with you diving in and understanding a little bit better on where your dollar is actually ending up. The last and one of the most important things that we need to focus on as far as critical thinking when it pertains to social responsibility is the information that we spread, whether it's the information that we take in or the information that we give out. The internet is crazy. We shouldn't be listening to people's opinions. You should hear them, but what I want to do is hear someone's opinion and then go explore that opinion. I'm going to hear someone make a statement or make a comment or share a thought that kind of makes me wonder or makes me question. And then I'm going to research maybe how that person came to that conclusion. I'm not just going to take it offhand because I like that person. And yes, of course, that might make me listen a little bit more. But at the end of the day, if you're not going back and researching what people have said, what people have researched, what scientists have proven, those kind of things, then you are walking blindly when you could be much more aware of reality. So don't walk blindly. The resources are there. You've got access to them. Go seek them out. Now remember, it's always important to think critically because we got to know how we affect ourselves long term, and we have to know how we're going to affect our environment that we are engaging with. Remember, avoid cognitive dissonance. Look up something called implicit bias while you're at it. That's another interesting topic that helps shape our thoughts and our opinions that I want you to research on your own. Make sure you are checking out our resources down in the video notes. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit the notifications button, head to the website, subscribe there, and pass off all this information to somebody that you think might want to hear it. Thank you guys for listening. Let's make some good things happen.